Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punam Punaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Hari Om, salutations to all. So we are seeing the very first verse of 16th chapter. Different qualities that Bhagavan has mentioned. First one was Abhayam, fearlessness. Second, Sattva Samshuddhi, purity of mind. So purity of mind, 6 vikars of the mind, how one can overcome these. The purer the mind is, more selfless the mind will be. That's the simplest measure of purity is kama, becomes nishkama. And the more selfless one is, the rest of the 5 vikars, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya will also reduce. Abhayam, sattva, samshuddhi, jnana yoga vyavasthiti, the ability to apply what we have learnt, what knowledge we have. So the gap between the knowledge and the action is less or not there. Abhayam sattva samshuddhi jnana yoga vyavasthiti. Then danam, the attitude of generosity and sharing the abundance that one has. Different types of dan. Apart from the wealth, it can be samay dan, prem dan, jnana dan, abhay dan. So many different types of dan. Dhamma is sense control. Managing the senses in such a way that there is neither suppression nor complete surrender to the sense temptations. There is sublimation. Person is able to use the senses, because by itself the senses are not creating difficulty. It is our mind which goes out through the senses which get distracted then. If senses are in control, mind can be controlled. Sense control is more easier than mind control. Shama is mind control, Dhamma is sense control. Without sense control, mind control cannot happen. So when we have the Gita chariot, the 4 horses are the senses. They are the first entry point into the seeker's mind is through the senses. So these need to be very well controlled. Dhanam, Dhamma. Then Yajna. Yajna is literally also doing Yajna as a Vedic ritual. It used to be where we invoke Bhagavan in the Agni. And Yajna also means to come together for a selfless cause. That is the adapted meaning in the 3rd chapter of the Gita that we saw. The bhavana, yajna bhavana is important. For a noble cause, selflessly, when everyone is coming together, contributing their best, sinking their individual differences, and working as a team So yajna is cooperative endeavor for a noble goal. Then that will help us to exhaust our existing vasanas. New vasanas will not get created, which create bondage. So the person gets out of the cycle of birth and death. So yajna is that. Dhanam, damascha, yajnascha. Swadhyaya is to study. Study the scriptures, chant Bhagwan's name, study the lives of great saints, sages, divine bhaktas, devotees of Bhagwan. And in and through that, study oneself. And as we saw, the Upanishad says, don't postpone the sharing of that knowledge. Swadhyaya pravachanabhyam na pramaditavyam. So, Swadhyaya. Then Tapa. Tapa is austerity. To live the life of tapas, meaning not to be a victim of comfort. Comfort can be there in life, but one should not be a victim of comfort. And tapas also has another meaning, which is concentration of the mind. Aikagryam paramam tapaha, Yoga Shastra says. Concentration is supreme tapas. So to bring the mind where the hands are, Gurudev used to give that very simple quotation. Bring the mind where the hands are. To be fully here and now. Where I am right now, there the mind should be. I am physically present in one place, but mentally I am absent. I am wandering wherever else. Then that is not tapas. Tapas is to be fully focused here and now. That is concentration. It can be in anything. Even while one is talking to somebody, the mind is fully there. That is concentration. While doing some work, while doing meditation, spiritual sadhana, anything that one is doing, to bring the full attention. In fact, if there is something that one has to say, that one of the purposes of life is attention training. All experiences are finally helping us to train our attention to be in the here and now. And when one actually comes into the here and now fully, mind only disappears. The psychological entity called mind is not there. It thrives because of the illusion of time, of past and of the future. But when one comes into the now fully, one is in eternity. And all experiences are to help us to come to that, so that we realize our eternal nature. So tapa also means that. So if you see, what is the depiction when somebody says the word tap, then what comes to our mind? Somebody is sitting quietly, somebody is standing on one foot, somebody has raised the hand, and then some mantra is being chanted, and they have left everything else, only focused on one form, one mantra, and they are chanting. So what is that indicating? Indicating exclusive attention towards one, to the exclusion of everything else. Nothing else they are thinking, doing, only one. That is tapas. And the mind is absorbed in that, and the more bhav is there, love is there for it, the more mind will concentrate in it. Which is why that sattva samshuddhi is important. If one tries to just concentrate, increase willpower, stare at the tip of a candle, look at the dot on the wall, it can help in concentration, there is no doubt. But that is not sufficient. Purity of mind will enhance concentration very naturally, and it will sustain the mind in that state. If purity of mind is not there, with great willpower, I can push the mind for some time, not to think anything, only this, only this, only this, but after that it will again go back into the wanderings. But if purity of mind is there, love is there for Bhagavan, one is living a dharmic life, then the concentration will last for a long time and effortlessly it will happen. So tapa is austerity, one meaning, to not be a victim of comfort, and second is it is concentration. So to do one thing at a time is concentration, is tapas. In today's age we are doing more than one thing at a time. Watching the television, eating the food, talking to people on phone while riding the vehicle. So many examples one can give. Reading the newspaper, sipping some coffee, talking to some people at the same time, messaging also somebody else. It goes on. So one thing at a time, if one trains the mind to do, that is tapas. And interesting, the research and a documented evidence is there today to show that how multitasking is a myth. There's nothing called multitasking. It's only switch tasking. Our attention is switching between two tasks. Very few people are there in the world who can actually pay equal attention to different tasks that they are doing. They are called super taskers in modern language. In our Sanatan Dharma, there are people who are called avadhanis. So some people can pay attention to 10 tasks simultaneously without switching. It's not one task, after that again go back. No. 10 tasks simultaneously are going on in their mind and they are able to pay attention. You can ask them any task, what state it is, they will be able to answer also. Dashavadhani is 10 tasks. Shatavadhani 100 tasks. So those are very few people. Majority we have to train ourselves to do one thing at a time. And today's age there is so much of confusion and difficulty that people go through because of overthinking. How much one goes on thinking extra? One of the reasons will be this. The mind will jump between different things and won't come to a conclusion. Or they will come to a conclusion yet think of too many consequences of it. Because the energy is not channelized properly. And certain way of thinking or certain faith or certain grounding is not there. Certain confidence also is not there that whatever happens I will be able to deal with it. So when purity and concentration come together, then some of these challenges of multitasking, overthinking will not remain. They will go. So that is tapas. If you remember second chapter mein Bhagwan says, Bahushakha hi anantascha buddhayo avyavasayinam. Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana. One who has a well resolved intellect, meaning the mind and intellect are united, integrated personality, that is called yoga. That person, vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana, he is one single pointed. Eka is one, iha is here, meaning they are single pointed and they can be in here and now. Bahushakha hi anantascha buddhayo avyavasayinam. Those whose mind and intellect is not integrated properly, their mind is in one place, buddhi is thinking something, body is somewhere else, and all over the place the mind is, the personality is dissipated. Why? Because they have lots of desires, lots of sense engagements, mind is not anchored in bhakti, so full personality is divided, dissipated. And the whole goal of life is only Bhoga Aishwarya Prasaktanam Taya Pahrita Chetasam. Bhoga, Aishwarya, attached to that. So the mind is not even able to sit and listen, contemplate, or do any spiritual sadhana. too many desires are crowding it, so it is very restless. It has to do action, go here, go there, do this, do that, meet this person. No time for sitting quietly. So tapas is actually the opposite. Ekeha kurunandana, one thing at a time. And actually tapas will help one to achieve more also, but people think multitasking will help one to achieve more. Multitasking destroys energy too much. So Swadhyaya, Tapa, Arjavam is straightforwardness. Straightforwardness here means what? It means to have the right intent, and it means to express what needs to be expressed appropriately in front of the person who is there. Not talking behind the back, not simply gossiping, not putting up one face in front as though one is really admiring and very happy and lovely to meet you, and then inside the mind one is thinking, I don't want to even talk to you. Then that's not straightforwardness. Obviously it doesn't also mean that if you don't like somebody then you tell them I don't like you. Straightforwardness, that's something, is the intent. One is straightforward. One is not playing games, cunningness, manipulation, hiding, none of that. And especially when one goes to a teacher, when one goes to a realized master, then one should be straightforward. Express what is one's state of mind. Like how one goes to a doctor and tells them, this is my symptom, this is what I am suffering from. Then the doctor can give solution. If you see in our first chapter, if you remember the three characters who are there, Dhritarashtra, Duryodhana and Arjun. In that the word Arjun literally means Rijutvat Arjuna, one who is straightforward. He confessed to Bhagwan. He also had his own attachments and he gave excuses why he doesn't want to fight the war. But at the end of it, he gave the reasons, and at the end of it, he surrendered. And when he surrendered, then he expressed, I am confused, I don't know what is the truth. Please tell me, what should I do? He sought guidance. There were tears in his eyes. He fell at the feet of Bhagwan. He did not hide his tears. And both the armies, they are watching him. He has collapsed. But he is in front of Bhagwan. He is not under false prestige, thinking, what are these people going to think of me, that I am a weakling, and all that stereotype that we have created, that men have to be strong and men can't cry and they suffer in private. In public they have to uphold one image of themselves. He didn't bother about all that. He was being true to himself. And he was explaining to Bhagwan his reasons, and then he understood and he surrendered. And he opened up. That is called straightforwardness. Duryodhan didn't open up in front of Dronacharya. In fact, he went and taunted, so he didn't find a solution. Dhritarashtra was so adamant in his thought process that how many people have tried to explain to him, Krishna Bhagwan, Bhishma, Drona, Vidur, and now Sanjay is sitting in front of him. But he doesn't want to move away from his attachment to his son and do his duty as a king. So he also didn't find a solution, though he knows what is the solution. So straightforwardness is very important, especially in the spiritual path. Now, these are divine qualities. The reason they are also called divine is because they will help us to discover our divinity. And they also help us to live more happily and harmoniously in the world here. Straightforwardness obviously has to be with viveka, with clarity. One cannot just tell everything to everybody. So it comes with a certain discriminative capability, saying I should know what to tell to whom, what is appropriate as per my role, as per my stage, as per my duty, all that, because people think that straightforward, how can I be straightforward? People will take advantage of me. So who is saying let people take advantage of you? Straightforward doesn't mean dumbness. Krishna Bhagwan was straightforward. What is in his mind, he will speak and he will do. But where it has to be a strategy, it is a strategy that has to be executed properly. You can't tell your enemy what is a strategy. So, a straightforward person can be also be a smart person. Smartness doesn't mean cheating people and being cunning. That's not the definition of smart. People have made it like that today. Street smart. So, this is the first shloka. 9 values. Now, we go to the second one, and what does he say there? Ahimsa satyam akrodha tyagah shantirapaisunam daya bhuteshvalo luktvam mardavam hrirachapalam. Ahimsa, non-violence. Satyam, honesty. Akrodha, absence of anger. Tyagaha, sacrifice. Shantihi, peace. Apaishunam, no gossip. Then daya bhuteshu aloluptvam. Daya bhuteshu, actually, the bhavna of compassion towards the beings, especially those who are suffering. Aloluptvam. Aloluptvam meaning a person is not wanting to covet anybody's things. Is not very restless at the sensory level to grab and eat and enjoy and drink and get easily distracted. No. Daya bhuteshu aloluktvam mardavam. Very modest, gentle, gentle mainly. Modest is hri. Gentleness. Mridu means soft. So mardavam is gentleness. Not very brute or just doing things with so much of loudness. Gentle. Mardavam. Hrihi. Hrihi is, one meaning of hri is modesty, that one may achieve great things but one is still grounded, one is modest. It is not false humility, it is being modest, where one doesn't think of oneself as superior to somebody else. Another meaning of hri is the fear of doing adharma or doing anything wrong. That is hri. That prevents a person saying ki, no, this is wrong thing to do, or like telling lies or cheating somebody or even gossiping, backbiting, anything that is inappropriate, including even some of these things which are like drinking alcohol or smoking or drugs or tobacco or whatever all that is. One says, no, I will not. It doesn't fit with the value system of a sadhak. So one will avoid that, and there's a certain level of caution, fear, this I don't want to touch, this I don't want to engage in. That is hri. Achapalam, lack of fickleness, meaning steadiness. If one takes up something, execute and finish it, not be so restless. Madhavam hri rachapalam. So now how many values here? Ahimsa, satyam, akrodha, tyagah, shanti, apaishunam, daya bhuteshu, aloluptvam, mardavam, hrihi, achapalam. 12 values. First one had 9, this has 12, 21. So ahimsa now. one of the most misunderstood words. It is a good quality, no doubt, important one, but it is to be applied at what level? Physical level, definitely we can minimize violence, and where we have options of not being violent, we should not even use violence. And violence doesn't mean only physical violence. Himsa is at so many levels. One is at the body level, where one becomes violent when hit somebody, hurt somebody. That is physical level. Then there is verbal violence. How much one goes on putting other people down, condemning, criticizing, gossiping, or hurting people through one's words intentionally. All that is violence. Instigating somebody else against someone. All that is violence. One may have not done physical violence, but like see, Mantra instigated Kaikeyi to ask Dashrath Maharaj that her son must be on the throne and Ramji has to go to forest. That is violence only. Mantra is committed, is not, there is no ahimsa there. There is proper himsa, with the intent is to destroy. So, ahimsa is at the body level, at the speech level, thought level also. To think of hurting somebody, destroying them, pulling them down, sometimes even killing them. All that is mental violence. Now, as a quality, we should apply ahimsa at all levels. But it becomes difficult to practice that at the body level 100%. The reason being, Jivo Jivasya Jivanam, Srimad Bhagavatam says, life subsists on life. But the choice we have is, because many people ask, then what is wrong in eating non-vegetarian? Plants also are dying, animals also will die. But plants, the sensory capabilities are different than animals. Animals have much more sensory capabilities of animals are much more evolved. So they feel more pain. Emotions are much more refined. So one has to be careful, and where there is no choice, then that's a different point. But where choice is there, why? And also today we know that non-vegetarian is one of the, I think it is the second largest contributor to global warming. The amount of water that also it takes, and the whole industry, one of the reasons of global warming is non-vegetarian food. So if one understands, one will apply ahimsa at a mental level. At the same time, one will also understand that where himsa is required, not to do that himsa in the name of ahimsa is creating more sorrow and suffering. And it is himsa only. Worst form of himsa, that is. One of the reasons why we got enslaved, or we took a long time also to be free from the British, is ahimsa. The understanding of ahimsa was so wrong. And then everyone keeps quoting ahimsa paramo dharma. Ahimsa is the supreme dharma. There is no doubt ahimsa is the supreme dharma. But you know that ahimsa means what there? It has different levels of meaning, but one meaning of ahimsa there is that there is no trace of ego and selfishness in you. That is the supreme ahimsa, because I want nothing from you. When I want nothing from you, you have no threat from me. When I want something from you, then I am a threat to you, you are a threat to me. I want nothing from you. That is supreme ahimsa. Where the ego has gone, Mr. So-and-so disappeared. Now I don't want anything. So I won't be angry, upset, do any violence to you, take away anything from you, nothing. So ahimsa paramo dharma is in a different context. In general life also, yes, as much we follow ahimsa, great, no doubt. But if somebody is attacking, I can't say ahimsa paramo dharma, let him attack. If he gives me one slap on my right cheek, I'll show my left cheek. That is not ahimsa actually. Dharma Shastra and others, they tell us to protect ourselves, defend ourselves. We may not go out and attack, but if somebody is attacking, I have to protect, and that's how our ancestors have fought also. Many had the clarity, some did not have, and so we fell into the wrong notions of ahimsa. Another extreme is where one says ahimsa paramo dharma, dharma himsa tathaiva cha. Ahimsa is supreme dharma, then dharma himsa also is supreme dharma. But that line is not found in the scripture anywhere. Ahimsa paramo dharma, dharma himsa tathaiva cha is not there. From somewhere it has come, or people have, somebody would have created it up, and now everybody is quoting that. I'm just going to share one PPT here, a few points about ahimsa, that where does this line ahimsa paramo dharma come? At least in Hindu scriptures, where does it come? Somewhere else where it is coming. In some other scriptures also it may be there, but I am sharing here where it is found in the Mahabharata, and is interesting conversation between Yudhishthir and Bhishma. And there Bhishma is explaining the importance of non-vegetarianism. Bhishma was a non-vegetarian. Importance of vegetarianism, sorry. Bhishma was a vegetarian. He doesn't eat meat. And there he is asking, so Yudhishthir, that what is the importance of this? Why should one follow this? And he explains very beautifully, and there he quotes this ahimsa paramo dharma. And in what context is he saying, that we will just see. Give me 1 minute. So these are some of the slides you can see here. So as I said, jivo jivasya jivanam. Physically, there can be minimum violence that we can do. 100% may not be possible, but mentally we can definitely be non-violent. I have to have love and compassion, not hatred and thoughts of hurting and harming somebody. And where there is love, this non-violence will be very, very spontaneous. So at action level, as I said, we must intentionally not cause any physical injury to any living creature. At the speech level, be cautious about the speech, exercise control, learn to speak softly. All that will again come ahead also. Satyam vada, priyam vada, hitam vada, all that. And at mind level then, thoughts are pure, wishing well for others, not wanting to destroy them, hurt them, harm them. Now important is to know this, that violence which is done for self-defense also is a part of ahimsa. This active resistance to evil is ahimsa only. This entire war, in fact, of Mahabharata, the Pandava side is a side where they are defending because they have been attacked. uh, and they are not doing it for ego purposes, for revenge, for kingdom, for any property, money, nothing. They are doing it because it's their duty and they have to defend. So active resistance to evil is also ahimsa. Violence for self-defense is also ahimsa. If one does not fight for self-defense, then that is called cowardice. That is not ahimsa. And that cowardice is ahimsa against oneself. Example we have given there is the body and its own immunity. So that immunity system in us has to fight continuously when there are pathogens and other, bacteria, virus, whatever it is, they are attacking. One has to fight. If one says no, no, ahimsa paramo dharma, then one will die. So one has to be careful how ahimsa is understood. If somebody enters, another example is that if somebody enters my house, tries to misbehave with my family members, or even tries to take away something, then not at all to resist and let them do everything is cowardice. Soldier putting down a weapon in the war, not wanting to fight when the country needs, all that. So if one understands this very clearly, then one knows. Otherwise one is just blinded by ahimsa. And every time one says, I will not react, I won't retaliate. Where it demands, one has to do that. One has to ensure one is not doing it out of ego or with a intent to hurt and destroy other people. Now this is where it is. See, Bhishma, when he says this, ahimsa paramo dharma sarva prana bhritam smritaha tasmat prana bhrita sarvan nahimsyat brahmana kvachit. First of all, this is one of the shlokas which is given here. This is for the brahmanas who are trying to live a very, very sattvic life and trying to realize the self. Again, obviously I am not saying others can do himsa, it's not a license to do himsa, but in what context the shloka has been given and who will apply it? Somebody who is living a very highly sattvic life can and has to follow this. That for this brahmana who wants to know the truth, what is declared? That ahimsa towards all beings, living beings, is the supreme virtue. So a brahmana should never take the life of any creature. It can't be said of a kshatriya, because kshatriya has to fight to protect the whole kingdom. So in Adi Parva, it was a serpent of Dunduba species who utters this verse to a brahmana named Ruru, who used to kill snakes because his wife was bitten by one. The snake transforms itself into a brahmana named Sahasrapat and utters this verse to Ruru. This is the context there. So one has to know what is being said for whom. If one just takes it out of context and now apply that to everybody, it won't work. This verse also occurs in the Vana Parva, where the righteous Dharma Vyadha utters this in the context of the non-injury towards animals. Dharma Vyadha tells Kaushika that he himself does not slay or eat animals, but selling animal meat is his swadharma and profession. So there is that different context, the whole story where this person is a spiritually evolved person but is selling meat. And this Kaushika is one tapasvi, and he was sitting in the forest and he was meditating, and he has attained some powers, no doubt. And he, one day as he was meditating, some bird dropping happened on him and he just looked up in anger, and that bird burned to ashes and died. Sad, but he got an ego out of it. I have power now. So he went for bhiksha as usual, and one house he went, that lady of the house, she said, please wait, I am coming. He waited for quite some time, she didn't come and he was getting angry, and then finally she came out and gave him the bhiksha. And while she was giving, she said, "So you are that monk who looked at the bird and the bird perished." So he was stunned because nobody was there who saw that and who knew it. So he said, "How do you know?" He said, "My Guru's grace, I know. I do the sadhana." So he asked, "What sadhana do you do?" She said, "I serve in my family. My husband, children, all of them who are there, and I dedicate my actions to Bhagavan." So he said, he was surprised. He said, "How this woman is serving in her home and she has that insight that what I have done in the forest without anybody telling her, nobody saw anything, nobody communicated. How did this happen?" So he asked her, "Who is your guru?" So she told him, "Go to such and such place and you will find my guru there." That is the Dharma Vyadha. So when he goes there, he sees this person is selling meat. He is very upset. But he still goes. And as soon as he reaches there, he says, "So she sent you here and you are the one who has burned that bird." Now those are not the times of phone and all that where the information will reach immediately. You call and tell nothing. So he is more surprised, saying, "What happened? How is this?" In that context, he gives this answer that this is my family profession, my parents, etc. have been doing this, so I don't destroy, I don't kill. There are people who are there. Now this is my livelihood source. I am selling. So my point is this, that this context in Mahabharata, when it is coming, is a different context. So this Dharma Vyadha is telling this Kaushika is that rishi, that he himself does not slay or eat animals, but selling animal meat is his swadharma and profession. So as can be seen from this verse, ahimsa paramo dharma occurs only in opposition to animal cruelty in every single instance. It has nothing to do with reluctance to fight wars. Again, what are the duties of a Kshatriya? If you see here, it comes so clearly. Kshatriyasya tu yo dharmaha sa neheshyati vai tava danda dharanam ugratvam prajanam paripalanam. So this is the duty of a Kshatriya. That those duties of a Kshatriya are not the duties of the Brahmana. That's what is being said here. Duties of the Kshatriya are not thine. To be stern, to wield the scepter, to rule the subjects properly are the duties of the Kshatriya. That is not your duty. And this is where Bhishma tells Yudhishthir, ahimsa paramo dharmaha tatha ahimsa paro damaha. Ahimsa paramam danam, ahimsa paramam tapaha. Ahimsa is the greatest dharma, ahimsa is the greatest refuge, ahimsa is the greatest charity, ahimsa is the greatest penance. This is applicable to whom? Realized person, not realized person, a Brahmana who is seeking that state of realization. And what it also means here is that as long as there is ego, there is self-preservation instinct as well as there is selfishness. To that extent, one will be violent. So to give up the ego is the greatest refuge, greatest charity, greatest penance. That's what this means. It doesn't mean at physical level. So Bhishma goes on to explain. The verse comes from Anushasana Parva. Bhishma utters it in response to Yudhishthir's query. Yudhishthir is asking what? About the merits of abstaining from consuming flesh of animals. So he says, this is why I don't consume. Tad ichchami gunan shrotum. This is the question that he has asked. Mamsya abhakshane apiva. That why one should not consume the meat. So he is saying this is the reason. And Bhishma talks in length about merits of vegetarianism and demerits of consuming meat. And he uses the word himsa solely to allude to the torture and slaughter of animals. He condemns animal cruelty and in this context utters ahimsa paramo dharmaha. At spiritual level, ahimsa is supreme penance, ahimsa is supreme charity. When we say you drop the ego. At a body level, it is this. While there are numerous instances in Mahabharat of righteous dharmic Kshatriya kings and other communities consuming meat without any hesitation. As a Kshatriya, they have to train themselves to see blood, to kill if it is required, because otherwise one won't be able to do that in a battle. But Bhishma himself was an unabashed proponent of vegetarianism. That is his personal choice. Now this is where the difference is. Bhishma is a Kshatriya, personal choice, he is not eating meat, but he is not saying that if there is an attack on the kingdom, let the invader come and we will just surrender and we will appeal to their humanitarian instinct and it will create a change in their mind and they will stop doing himsa against us. That is absolutely impractical philosophy. Bhishma fought the war. Personally, he doesn't eat non-veg, but he fights the war. He attacks, he defends whenever anybody attacks. So we have to be clear that what is ahimsa and what is himsa. In many situations, our wrong notions of ahimsa will become himsa. Even if you take a simple example of our body, suppose one part of the body has a cancerous growth. Now, if that part is not cut out, it will spread to the whole body. Now, if one says, no, I will follow ahimsa, I don't want to cut the body part which is cancerous. Why? I follow ahimsa. For me, everyone is equal. I love all aspects of my body. This is also equally important. I will not cut. Now that ahimsa is not ahimsa, that is himsa towards the whole body. Whole body will perish because of that wrong notion. So, why this is important to understand is when we misunderstand ahimsa, we get exploited, we get cheated, we go into suffering. And unnecessarily then we victimize ourselves. All that is taking us away from the path of truth. Bhishma, the man who single-handedly slaughtered thousands of warriors who were fighting for Pandavas and Panchalas in Mahabharat battle, many of those being his friends and relatives. So clearly Bhishma didn't mean reluctance to fight battle when he was talking about ahimsa. So violence for self-defense is definitely necessary. Udyog Parva Mahabharat, it says so clearly that the sin that is committed by killing one who does not deserve to be killed is as great as a sin of killing one who deserves to be sin of not killing one who deserves to be killed. This Gurudev has quoted in the first chapter of the Gita also. And again, Bhagwan himself said that if you will not fight this righteous war, then having abandoned your own duty and fame, you shall incur sin. Papameva shraye dasmad hatvan. If you do not fight these people, because war is a righteous war, then you would have abandoned your duty and you will incur sin. He was saying that by fighting them by killing them I will incur sin. Bhagwan is saying if you don't fight you will incur sin. See that clarity which is there. So my point is this, ki ahimsa one has to understand. Where it is necessary for self-defense, it has to be applied. Where it is necessary to protect our culture, country getting under attack, and then we say ahimsa, ahimsa, and I am secular and all religions are one, it will not work. When people are getting converted by force, that is himsa. How many ancestors of ours did not convert? Gave up their life, but they did not convert. And those people who are trying to take away that freedom of practicing one's own religion, that is himsa. Forcing somebody into a decision which they are not, where they are adults, they have their own free will and they have their life and it is their karma they have to handle. If somebody is imposing, no, you have to take this career only, if you have to marry this person only, all that is himsa. So one has to understand what is ahimsa, what is himsa, and take decision accordingly. Our intent has to be clear. I don't want to hurt anybody, harm anybody. But if somebody takes me for granted, tries to misbehave, then I will have to do what needs to be done. So ahimsa. Ahimsa also towards oneself. Being, torturing oneself is not ahimsa. It is himsa actually. In the 17th chapter when we come, Bhagavan will say, Karshayanta sharirastham bhutagramam achetasaha. They are torturing me, who is in their own heart, by not eating properly, not taking care of the body, not sleeping properly, doing all kinds of tamasic tapas. So one should be clear what is ahimsa and what is himsa. Austerity and tapas is one thing, ahimsa is one thing, and both have to be practiced properly. To put oneself outside a certain comfort zone and to push one's limits, as well as to develop sense control, certain forms of austerity one takes up, which is good, or for certain atonement or prayaschitta one takes up certain upvas or certain level of self-control, is understandable. But unnecessarily torturing oneself thinking that by this Bhagavan will become happy, Bhagavan is not being happy by that. That is himsa, hurting oneself. So that is to be avoided. Body has to be preserved well to do sadhana, to realize the truth. If one doesn't take care of the body properly, how will one walk the path? So ahimsa, then satyam, honesty. Again, one of the cardinal values. So I must have said this earlier also in the Gita in different contexts, especially where the sets of values come, that Gurudev is to call this as the three pillars of Sanatan Hindu Dharma. Satyam, Ahimsa, Brahmacharya. And we call this as Sab. If these three are followed, sab kuch follow ho gaya. SAB, Sab. Intellectually, to be convinced by a certain knowledge and to live it uncompromisingly is Satyam. Ahimsa, mental level, not to harbor any ill will against anybody, including oneself. Self-love is also a part of ahimsa. If I am pulling down myself, criticizing, condemning myself and having, low self-esteem and victimizing myself, that is himsa against me. That's why ahimsa is very powerful to understand properly. So ahimsa at the mental level. And brahmacharya is moderation in all the sense contacts, which are dharmic, which are permissible. Don't say, Swamiji, I'm moderate in drinking alcohol, just 2 pegs a day. No. In what is permissible, what is good or dharmic for me, moderation in all that. In food, sleep, speech, exercise, spiritual practice, moderation in all. 6 chapters spoke about that. So these three values, very, very important. Satyam, Ahimsa, Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya here is indicated by the earlier shloka, the word Dhamma. And second shloka here it is saying Satyam, Ahimsa. So Ahimsa, Satyam. Satyam again at different levels. To live uncompromisingly the value and the convictions that I have. No compromise in that. That is Satyam. And why is Satyam important? Because that is what will lead us to the truth. Truth at the relative level will lead me to the truth at the absolute level. And Upanishad says that Satyena Pantha Vitato Devayana. Satyam is the path to Satyam. I can't be untruthful and discover absolute truth. It won't work. I have to be truthful here. To purify the mind, truth is important. To integrate personality, otherwise I know something, I have spoken something else. Gone. Disintegrated personality. intent has to be righteous, thought has to be righteous, speech has to be righteous. All that truth will come in all this. So sad vichar, sad bhavana, good feelings for others, positive feelings, love for others. Sad vani, talk truth, talk politely, talk for the benefit, and talk with measured words. Satyam vada, priyam vada, hitam vada, mitam vada. Satyavrata, take up virtues, take up vrata is austerities as well as certain vows. Suppose one says upvas or maun vrat or every ekadashi I will do or pradosh I will do. Vrat one has taken up, or 9 days of Navratri I will chant, let us say Devi Bhagavatam, or I will chant Tulsi Ramayana, Navanna Parayan I will do. Then that is vrata. Then one keeps it up. 40 days I will do this particular sadhana. Then that's vrata, take it up. That builds willpower. So Satyam will build integrity in the personality. That integrated person is a strong person. Disintegrated person is weak. Duryodhan, you see how weak he is, because adharma has destroyed his integrity. No, Swamiji, in the world people who are not having integrity, they are prospering. You want to see the examples of the world, or you want to realize absolute truth? If you want to realize absolute truth, this is the only path. Otherwise, world though is temporary, and who is enjoying and who is suffering doesn't depend on just their present life. It also depends on their past karmas. And if somebody is unrighteous today, nobody is going to get away from that. Karma spares nobody. It will come back to them. Seeker doesn't even wish. Seeker only thinks compassionately कि भाई, as soon as you come back to the spiritual path or the path of righteousness, that much better. So the spiritual seeker doesn't bother about all those things. One lives the truth for oneself, because truth will integrate my personality, truth will make me strong, truth will build goodwill and trust. Somebody who is not truthful, how can you trust that person? Truth is required in relationships. Truth is required. Truth has value everywhere, but people think truth has no value. And then one wants to take shortcuts, quick. So, Satyam. And so we spoke about Sadvichar, Sadbhavana, Sadvani, Satyavrata and Sadachar. Truthfulness in conduct. Suppose I give time to somebody, I should come at that time. I gave my word, keep up that word. Be transparent as much as one can in the dealings appropriate to the roles. That is Sadvyavahar. So Ahimsa, Satyam, Akrodhaha, lack of anger, absence of anger. Anger born from attachment. Anger is born when I can't accept something that has happened. And what I want, it has not happened, and what I didn't want has happened. Gurudev is to give an equation. Anger is equal to expectation into denial. Greater is my expectation. When it is not happened, I will get angry. So, why should I not be angry? See, anger can come sometimes as an emotion. Again, all these values, one should not take it up out of context and make it absolute and then demonize everything else. Anger at some point is necessary. Krishna Bhagavan got angry and he lifted the wheel and charged at Bhishma. That is righteous anger. Their anger is used as a tool for disciplining, for correcting, even for sometimes punishing. But this absence of anger here is where one is not born, that anger is not born out of attachment. Because my desire did not get fulfilled, now I am very angry. Bhagavan was not like that. Bhagavan's desire didn't get fulfilled in so many situations. He didn't get angry. But if a bhakta was insulted, Bhagavan will get angry. Shishupal, 100 abuses he hurled at Bhagwan, he didn't get angry. He waited patiently. And it was destined that he will die at his own hands, at Krishna Bhagwan's hands. So Shishupal, when he finished 100 abuses, Bhagwan killed him. Not because of personal vendetta or anger. That karma is such, it was predicted when his birth happened that he will kill him, Bhagwan will kill him. Bhagwan gave assurance to Shishupal's mother that I will wait for 100 insults. So absence of anger means no personal anger, born out of attachment, born out of lack of acceptance of what things bring, what happens in life. So why should that be valued? Because when one gets angry, one gets deluded. In the Gita only Bhagwan says, Krodhat bhavati sammohaha. And that one sees in life. One forgets who is in front, one starts abusing, one starts becoming angry, reactive. Anything with anger can make a person do. On that line, Krodhat bhavati sammohaha, Shankaracharya ji in his commentary he has written that a person even forgets who is in front, and even if it is maybe Guru or a very respectable person, this person just loses all control and even insults them. Because Vivek Shakti is gone. One is deluded. Krodha bhavati sammoha. What is right and wrong, one will forget. What is wrong will appear as right, what is right will appear as wrong. That's what Krodha will do. So, for a sadhak, that type of anger, personal anger, one has to learn to master. By reducing attachments, by learning to be more accepting, frequent, flexible, as well as having certain techniques. Anger, when it arises, impulsive anger, that can be handled with techniques like deep breathing or invoking the frontal lobe through some logic, or mantra chanting, walk and chant the mantra fast. Move away from that situation. Remember what is your goal. Don't get distracted by other things. There are different methods. But that is not enough. That will help momentarily to deal with that impulsive anger for that moment. Then one has to go back and think, what are my attachments? Why was I so attached? What is that attachment doing to me? How can I be free from that so that I live a better life? Figure out what are my deep likes and dislikes, raga and dvesha. What is the trigger? Be aware of the triggers. What are the sense objects, or what are the things where I don't have sense control, so that these objects create a certain impact on my mind and then one loses it. So that way there are many methods. The seeker always tries to neutralize the raga and dvesha, attachment and aversion. So satyam, ahimsa, satyam, akrodha. Then comes tyaga, sacrifice. Nothing is achieved without sacrifice. Greatest of achievements will have a lot of sacrifice. More greater the achievement, more will be the sacrifice. And here we are talking about realizing Supreme. Then definitely here the tyaga of ego has to be done. But even otherwise, tyaga of comfort zone, tyaga of the false notions, tyaga of raga and dvesha, tyaga of wandering of the mind, impurities, one by one has to keep doing. 12th chapter as we saw, tyaga shanti anantaram. The moment you do tyaga, instant is the peace. Let go of false insistence, resistance, tyaga. And when tyaga is done out of maturity, understanding, it is joy only, it is not pain. Sometimes there is sacrifice involved with, there will be some discomfort and pain, But one holds on to the higher, and there's a joy of serving the higher cause. If a soldier is protecting the borders, away from the family, missing the family on some important occasions, there is a pain involved in that. One feels, I wish I was with my family. But one is serving the country, that joy of the higher cause is there. So Tyaga is very important. If you see, even in the life, unless I let go of the lower, I can't rise higher. Holding on to the lower, how will I get the higher? Even when we walk, you have to leave the lower step to climb on the higher step. If I don't want to leave the lower step, how will I rise higher? So what is the Tyaga that I have to do which will help me to go higher? That one has to ask. And what is that which I am not letting go, which is either pulling me down or keeping me stagnant? Tyagaha. Our saffron color represents Tyag in the Indian flag. Freedom is attained by so much of sacrifice. It will be maintained well. It is maintained well also because of sacrifice of so many. And we will continue to be free only if there is sacrifice. If each one becomes selfish, we lose freedom. So Tyaga is important. Every day, what is the Tyaga that I have done? How did I push myself out of comfort zones? Important to ask that question. Tyaga. Then Shantihi. This Shanti is not Param Shanti, absolute peace. This is peace of mind. Peace of mind is what we all seek. Hard work, so much of effort, money, power, position, this, that. But if mind is not at peace, then what is the use? Nothing we can enjoy without peaceful mind. I am talking enjoyment level. Even sense enjoyment cannot be enjoyed if mind is not at peace. Nice coffee I am drinking, but very disturbed mind. I won't love that coffee. I won't enjoy that coffee. Peace is required for creativity, out of the box solutions, for experiencing love, for expressing love, for enjoying sense objects, for everything. Mind quietude is required. Shanti. There are so many ways to do how to be shant. Go and spend some time in solitude, introspect, sometime do some sadhana, japa, learn techniques like pranayam, which will quieten the thought flow. Be with nature, spend quality time with oneself, not always hooked on to some people, objects, engaged with some or the other thing. Spend time for oneself. So, the quieter the mind becomes, quiet mind doesn't mean thoughtless mind. Quiet mind means a mind which is inspired, which is conflict free, which can become quiet and where thoughts are not crowding. So Tyagaha, Shantihi. And this Shanti has to be discovered by ourselves. Nobody can give from outside. I can go to a very peaceful place, but if the mind is very disturbed, no Shanti there also. And I can be amidst great activity, but mind is at peace, not disturbed at all. So it is up to us how each one of us can be in the mind, how to train myself to become quiet. Every day when in our culture, every morning when one wakes up, takes bath, what first thing one does is sit in front of Bhagwan, do some bhajan, sadhana, upasana, japa, puja, whatever. Because the peace of mind comes when I surrender my individuality, my insistence, resistance to Bhagwan, to a higher cause. And that is the source of all peace, happiness, knowledge, and that's in our own heart. So if we learn to turn introvert, we will experience peace. Now, so Tyagaha, Shantihi, Apaishunam. Apaishunam means, one meaning is no gossip. Simply we go on gossiping and there's some strange joy one gets by pulling some people down. If we have the courage, we should talk in front of them, maybe take them aside if we want to tell some feedback critical. It doesn't have to be in public, but it should happen direct. Backbiting, gossiping, that shows lack of inner strength. That shows that one is not secure, grounded, and one is deriving joy by pulling somebody else down. So one meaning is of this apaishunam is no gossiping. Another meaning of apaishunam is to be free from fault finding tendency. Again, there is nothing wrong in identifying okay, this is to be corrected or this needs to be improved, this could be done better. But some people have fault finding tendency in everything which is there. Many things will be good also, they will only find fault. They can't see the good. If they see also in one line, they will express and they will brush it aside, and full long list of criticism will come after that. Some of it valid, some of it is simply to show okay, what you have done is wrong and I found out so many errors. That is Pishuna. Avoiding that fault finding tendency. Tyagha Shanti Apaishunam Daya Bhuteshu, being compassionate to all the beings. When one sees their suffering, one wants to relieve them from that. That feeling is compassion. And in whichever way one can, one tries to alleviate their sorrow and suffering. One chooses one's own priorities. Ki what type of seva I want to do, to which type of beings, to relieve them of what level of suffering. So daya bhuteshu, aloluptvam, lack of fickleness. Lolupta is fickle. See some tempting sense object, some smell of pakoda is coming, some TV IPL is going on or something, I am immediately tempted to go here, there. What you are doing, one is not able to focus. Or even in work, 10 things are to be done, one doesn't even take up one and complete. One starts one, that is more important. Jumps to one, jumps to third, jumps to fourth, again comes back to the first, then goes to second. No ability to stick. Low loop, very restless. Nowadays they say this principle, 20 minutes, you divide your tasks into 20 minutes each and you may have many things to do, but you say, in next 20 minutes I will only do this much and finish this. Then I will go to the next. So one has to train. Especially when one has to train, when one is able to do that in work, then one will be able to do that in japa. When one sits, the fickle mind will reduce. Otherwise it keeps jumping here, there, because that's how I'm training it in work and other interactions. Daya bhuteshu aloluptvam, lolupta. Literally senses can tempt and this person gets tempted easily. Simplest example of lolupta is being addicted to the phone. Where one knows that in the morning I'm just giving that as an example, that morning, suppose one says I should get up, take bath and do my puja. But one doesn't do. Why? Because as soon as one wakes up, the thought comes, let us check Instagram. Yesterday we posted this, how many people have liked? How many people have commented? And once one takes up that Instagram, then goes on scrolling reel after reel, half an hour gone, time gone, now I have to rush to the office. Why? Because the temptation of the mind. What happens if you take it up after finishing the puja? Maximum some delay of half an hour, 1 hour, what will happen? But it is the lolupta which says, no, I want to see. See after 1 hour. Unless there is some urgent work, that's a different point, but otherwise it's just watching it for feel good factor. So that you take after half an hour. But low loop. Work is there to be done, but one is sitting and whiling away time on the gadgets. So That gadget is just one example. Many things can be learned from gadgets also, and one can educate oneself, and there are so many advantages, no doubt. But restlessness, mardavam, loluptvam, then mardavam is gentleness, doing things gently. Sometimes if you see some people, they are so loud about everything. Even footwear which they have to leave, they won't leave properly. And just throw somewhere something here, there. Take out the socks, throw it here, throw it there. You remove it properly, put it in the, where it has to be, clothes have to be put for washing. Place the footwear nicely. When you take something, place something, suppose the bottle is there, you place it gently. Very loud. That softness, gentleness is not there. That is not only about things, but then about, it will come into this vyavahar also. How one conducts oneself, how one speaks, what kind of clothes one wears, how one interacts, everywhere. Mridu is gentle. A sadhak is gentle. Doesn't mean that everything has to be gentle, so one has to walk also very gently only. If one requires to walk fast, one will walk fast. But there is a gentleness in the personality. Gurudev is so dynamic, but very gentle. The way in which he would dress, how he will speak to people, how he will make them feel welcomed, all that. There is softness around him. So, Mardavam, Hrihi is modesty. So many achievements one may have, but one is still grounded, rooted, saying that all this is Bhagwan's Kripa. One may feel good about it, that I am an instrument, Bhagwan did it through me, I feel the joy of it. But one doesn't get, into superiority complex. One doesn't want to exploit people. One doesn't think that I will have only my monopoly. Nobody else should be bigger than me, and anybody bigger than me, I will destroy them. Then modesty is not there. You grow, let others also grow. And be grateful, modesty. Sadhak has all these virtues, which means that jealousy will not be there, which means that unnecessary comparison, inferiority, extrovertedness, all that is gone. Then the mind is available to turn within. You will see exact opposite of these qualities are given in the 16th chapter. Those are the demonic qualities. Hiranyakashipu does not have Mardavam, nor does he have Hri. Then last one here is Achapalam, is steadiness. Loluptvam is at the level of senses. Very restless at the level of senses. Can't sit quietly. Sense distractions will, tempt a person. This Achapalam is at the mind level, where one is able to control the restlessness of the mind as well as be steady in the job one is doing, in the work that one is doing, in the sadhana one has taken up. Not very indecisive or changing decisions very often and not sticking to the decision. No. Consider all factors, take a decision, then stick to it. That is Achapalam. So, 2 verses we have done. 12 plus 9, 21. 5 more values are there in the next verse. And with that, the set of the divine qualities will be complete. Then the demonic ones will start. That we will take up in our next class. For today we will stop here and thank all the Yajmans for all the support, all the Dainik, all the Mukhya Yajmans, the Arti Yajmans, the Dainik Arti Yajman as well as the Dainik Yajmans. May Bhagwan's grace, Gurudev's blessings be on all of them, and may Bhagwan bless us with these 12 qualities that we studied today, and may we live a divine life. Hari Om Tat Sat. If there are any questions, we will take it up after the Aarti is over.
जय भगवत गीते मैया जय भगवत गीते हरिय कमल विहारिणि सुंदर सुपुनीते ओम जय भगवत गीते कर्म सुमर्म प्रकाशिनी कामासक्तिहरा तत्त्वज्ञान विकाशिनी विद्या ब्रह्मपरा ओम जय भगवत गीते निश्चल भक्ति विधायिनी निर्मल मलहारिणी शरण रहस्य प्रदायिनी सब विधि सुखकारी ओम जय भगवत गीते राग द्वेष विदारिणी कारिणि मोद सदा भव भयहारिणि तारिणि परमानंद प्रदा ओम जय भगवत गीते आसुर भाव विनाशिनी नाशिनी तमरजनी दैवी सद्गुणदायिनी हरिरसिका सजनी ओम जय भगवत गीते समता त्याग सिखावनी हरिमुख की बानी सकल शास्त्र की स्वामिनी श्रुतियों की रानी ओम जय भगवत गीते दया सुधा बरसावनी मातु कृपा की जय हरि पर प्रेम दान कर अपनों कर लीजय ओम जय भगवत गीते ओम जय भगवत गीते मैया जय भगवत गीते हरिय कमल विहारिणि सुंदर सुपुनीते ओम जय भगवत गीते ओम जय भगवत गीते ओम जय भगवत गीते बोलिए गीता मैया की जय
बोलिए श्री कृष्ण चंद्र भगवान की जय, श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। Yes.
Hariam Swamiji. So, Swamiji, the quality that you were discussing about uh, about this picking up fault picking, we have to let go. So, generally, parents, like the nature of work is always that you are trying to correct things, and in that process, it is. I mean, how do you deal with that when you are relating with these qualities that we are talking? Because that is what is getting conveyed. The opposite person always feels that array somebody is finding fault, but I mean, because unless you point out, how will it get corrected?
So I said in my talk also that to correct something is not wrong, but people have fault finding where even in the good they don't appreciate. They just have a mindset of finding fault and putting down the opposite person. So that is this tendency which has to be dropped. Second, when we have to correct in an impersonal way. So what we generally say is, criticize the performance, encourage the performer. Many times what happens is the performer gets discouraged when we say personal statements like, "Arey, you are so dumb only, you are like this only, how many times to tell you, why can't you learn, I've been telling this to you." So now that person has got hurt. Now that feedback also will not go in. So how we give the feedback and how we convey is another important point. And third is they also should feel that there is an encouragement also coming. If a parent goes on only finding fault, in the sense only trying to correct them, in the right way only correct them because they need to be corrected, but they also need to feel that up the other aspect where the encouragement is there, love is there, affection is there, acceptance is there. That is the balance has to come. Then the correction will be objective and they also know and they are also in a receptive state to accept it, and if they don't, then that is their choice and they will grow at some point to understand, appreciate, and each one takes their own time to learn how to accept a feedback, change their thought process. Sometimes they accept, but their mind, their body, their hormones are such that it doesn't translate into action as fast as one may want it to translate into action. Sometimes they are putting effort also. So one has to see that also. Okay, has the effort being put? And do we appreciate the effort also that is being put and acknowledge it? Okay, I know you are putting in the effort. I can see this. So in that way, the correction can happen. Then that is not to be dropped. The fault finding tendency has to be dropped, where one only sees faults. And even where everything good is there, like how many parents under the pressure, they tell their children, child has come second, but they'll be unhappy. They'll say, no, you have to come first only. Why did you give up the first? See, the potential is there in the child to come for first. Great, nurture it, tell them how to do it, help them to improve, but appreciate also that with that much effort he has come second. Na? Even within the top 10, even within the top 15, but parents sometimes are not very happy with them. They will only find fault. They will say, I told you, you have all potential, you did not put in the hard work. If you had done it, fifth semester, you would have come first. You have come to fifth level right now. You would have come first, but you wasted so much of time. What can we do now? But you don't listen only. Now that kind of a conversation, when it happens, the mind will get blocked. I've seen many people do like that, and the child is so, I mean, bichara is striving for whatever one can do with whatever level of capability one has, and still the parent is not appreciative at all. So those things is what Bhagavan is saying, ki drop.
Okay, understood. So the same thing can apply at workplace also, like
Correct.
uh, either ways. Okay, okay, yes. Thank you.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Karan.
Hari Om, Swamiji. Swamiji, I suppose my question is very topical, but it could apply for any time because you speak
Little louder if you can, because volume is not clear.
Yeah. Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Swamiji, my question is quite topical actually, because obviously it's relevant to what's happening today in the world, but it could be for any time actually. On the subject of ahimsa, I'm sorry. On the subject of ahimsa, there are a lot of wars that are taking place in the world and have taken place, in the last few centuries actually. Of course, where it's very obvious that it's a case of someone asserting superiority, somebody grabbing resources, somebody being offensive. One understands that and look through it very easily. But in certain other cases, as you say, in self-defense, certain countries become offensive because of the love for one's country, or the love for one's religion, or the love for one's leader or something. And then the lines get a little blurry as well. And sometimes they choose offense as a way of defending themselves. So I guess what I'm trying to ask is, how does one discern when ahimsa is then justifiable? Because everything has been justified as a just war by each side. So from each person's perspective, the other person is an unjust oppressor, and we are only doing it as an act of self-defense. So when does it become when is it justifiable and when is it not?
See, one is that principle has to be very clear. Live and let live is the simple principle. If somebody is impinging upon your freedom and attacking, then that is self-defense. But in the name of certain ideologies, which you want to impose on somebody, that is your ego, and then you attack them, then they retaliate, then you say this is my self-defense, that is all ego. There is no question of himsa there. There you have done himsa. By that, whatever that ideology it may be, whether it's economic ideology, so-called religious ideology, or any political ideology, whatever it may be, where you are actually imposing, pressurizing, dominating, controlling, and acting out of ego, no justification is acceptable, and the line is very clear. What is dharma and what is adharma? Just because somebody is taking the shelter of some ideology and saying this is what is written, so I will defend, this is my dharma, truth doesn't depend on their perspective alone. Truth depends on universal values. Truth depends on the role that you are playing and what are you supposed to do. The role of a Raja or a king is to protect the Praja, is to create more job opportunities, is to give them economic security, physical security. It is to provide the environment for healthy talent to manifest. It is those things. It is not saying expansionism, aggression, destroying other people. That is not the duty of a king, but people have been doing it because a lot of it is born out of ego, and then they don't want to accept it. Then they'll say it is all righteous cause. It is actually not. Where there is a certain level of clarity, like if you see in the example of the Pandavas also, they don't want expansionism, they don't want anything that way. They are happy with their kingdom, they prospered, they made good, the Khandava Prastha was transformed into Indraprastha, and they are following dharma righteously, not impinging upon anybody's freedom and trying to control, dominate, do adharmic things. None of that happened. Even when they go attack, they will give the freedom to that king. If the king accepts their sovereignty, that's it. They are under him. Nothing more than that. That is the Kshatriya dharma there. But if one doesn't understand that, and for one's ego one is doing something in the name of an ideology, that is actually wrong. It is ego battle. It is not ideological battle of right versus wrong. And many wars which are happening by that. These wars are happening because of the ego. It's not because of some ideological this thing there.
What about the situations where certain people have been oppressed by you see it by violent or dominant power?
Then one has to fight it out. Now, if oppression has happened genuinely, that's what happened to Pandavas. They fought, right? Because they were oppressed.
But then they take certain other forms like terrorism in those countries to get back. Revenge is, in other words, what I am saying.
See, that is what we have to understand. Who has oppressed you and what is your method of retaliation to them? That is one thing. But because you have oppressed doesn't mean you have the license to oppress other people. You don't get the license to oppress other people who are innocent, who are not believing in your ideology. Somebody else has oppressed you, you cry victim card, you fight with them. That is between you and that oppressor. But you are taking, suppose the shelter of this, I am oppressed, and now I am wanting to kill and convert other people who are not believing in my ideology. This doesn't justify anything.
So Swamiji, finally, back in the day, the battles were held in Kurukshetra, so innocent people were not being killed. But today, sadly, that's not the case. So in doing one's dharma or, taking up arms, and in the process, one is unintentionally killing innocent civilians. So what would be the perspective on
Karma will come now back, because when it is not required, you are going and killing. When you have no capability of giving life, you are destroying so many people's lives. the karma will catch up, and whatever will be the result, it will come to that person, that nation. It will happen. Nobody can stop that. It may appear that some prosperity is happening in the short run, but our view is very short, 50, 60s. Even in our small span of life itself, we see so many things. So many countries are so-called invincible, are gone. Just a few decades, destroyed, gone, finished. What were world powers at some point in time, broken up. Why? Because somewhere the karma will catch up. And so when it is not done righteously, when it is done out of ego, that karma itself has the seed which will bring them that karma follow of suffering. Somebody else doesn't have to even do that. Your own karma, you have tortured somebody, they will come back to you. It will happen. And if they are weaker today, it's a matter of time, they will become stronger and they will hit back. If you are weaker, you will become stronger and hit back. Oh, that will happen in time. So nobody will be able to get away with that. Karma will catch up, definitely.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Okay, last question for today.
Pranam Swamiji. I don't know whether I should be asking this question, but sometimes when one's friends, some people are eating non-vegetarian, and if we are in a group and if I say no, I don't eat. So they said, what, you are believing in Ramayana, you read your, but they said that they were also non-vegetarians. I said, maybe. Then what do you think? Why did Sita ji ask for the Hiran? Because they wanted to eat that. So sometimes, like I'm lost with such questions, and then there is no argument. So when you said just that Kshatriyas were trained for whatever reason because they had to fight in the battles. So I sometimes don't know how to argue with these people. Then I give up. I feel silent is the best thing to say at that time.
See, that choice is proper choice in that sense, because sometimes they are not wanting to be convinced.
Yes.
They are fixated in their opinion. We can only express some opinions. If they take it, great. If they don't take it, that is their choice.
Right.
We don't have to, like, what you are doing is good. If you try to explain to them, explain it to your satisfaction. Don't have to convince them. If they get convinced, great. If they don't convince, that is their choice. As long as you are able to follow your choice, you don't want to eat, and they don't impinge upon that. If they make some fun of it, ignore it.
Yes.
The reasoning is very clear, very simple. Sita ji wanting golden deer was not to eat. And Ramji, did he run straight away for that? He told her that because it's a golden deer, the skin of that, whatever that deer is golden, she wanted that deer skin. And Ramji told so many times it is not a proper deer, it is a Rakshas who has come. Just now we have killed 14,000 Rakshasas there, and we are in the forest and we are surrounded by some of these creatures, and this is not really a deer. But obviously there in that context the deer is only a nimitta, and it's Marich who has come in that form, and Ravan has to be killed. For that he has come in that form. So there it is a different matter altogether. Second point is the Kshatriyas are trained to kill, no doubt, but if you see in the Ramayana also, Bhagwan is a Kshatriya, no doubt, but he is not eating meat because of taste. He is not killing animals because of pleasure. If you see Tulsi Ramayana also, it will be written so clearly that he learned hunting and he used to kill animals bare necessity, just so that he has, because it's a duty as a Kshatriya, he should know how to hit a target, how to hit a moving target, how to kill, how to survive in a forest. One has to learn that skill. Otherwise, it's not that every day he is eating meat in his palace. Very clearly it is written there. And if you read Valmiki Ramayana and all that, he has to live in an ascetic form, and he goes to the forest, and it's not that every day they are eating kandamula, falaful, more than all this. So, and they have to still kill Rakshasas, etc. They have to kill, so they are killing them, but they are not eating, devouring animals every day. So that argument falls flat if they even try to say. And suppose one is saying that argument also, okay, if Rama ate flesh, so I will also eat flesh of animals. Then Rama did so much for keeping up the word that he gave to his father and his father had given to his mother. Uncompromisingly he lived. You do that.
Right, right.
Rama protected his wife and went to all extent to ensure that he ensures that Sita ji is rescued. Rama ensured that he is committed only to his wife, his mind doesn't go here and there. Today people's minds are wandering everywhere. They are not committed in a relationship. Rama put the nation above self. He sent Sita ji away because as a king that is his most important duty to maintain transparency, integrity, and not give a chance to people to even have a doubt and then fall in their moral life as praja. Now those things people don't want to do. Ram lived happily with his siblings. He gave the kingdom to his brother. People don't want to give a little bit of share in property.
Right.
So those arguments are just for the heck of arguing and making people feel lesser and
Yes.
justifying their own choices. Those don't even stand actually.
Right. One more question. In the first shloka, there are 9 lakshans. In the second shloka, you said there are 12, but when I am counting, I am getting only 11.
Okay, let's count. So ahimsa, satyam, akrodha, tyagah, shantihi, apaishunam, daya bhuteshu, aloluptvam, mardavam, hrihi, achapalam. Okay, so 11. So there are 11 ones, not 12.
Sorry, because I tried to, then I thought maybe Bhuteshu and Daya, but when I read it, it's same. It is
No, it is same. So it is 11. My mistake. So it is not 11. So it's not 12, 11. Ahimsa, Satyam, Akrodha, Tyaga, Shanti, Apaishunam, Daya, Bhuteshu, Aloluptvam, Mardavam, Hrihi, Achapalam. Correct. Good, you brought it out. 11.
Thank you. Sorry to.
No, not at all. It's good only to correct what is a mistake. Right.
Thank you very much. Pranam.
Hari Om. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.